What's going on, everybody? Welcome to what should be a pretty chill stream today. We're going to be talking about March Madness action. The NCAA tournament kicks off for real tomorrow. There's first 4 games, 2 of them today. We're not going to talk about those. We'll see how those play out, though. Those will be interesting games to follow along with. But we're going to talk about every first-round matchup of the NCAA tournament. Going to talk about maybe some prospects to watch. I do want to drop a 15 prospects to watch video after the stream, but I don't know if I'll have the time to do that. Honestly, I'm on a little bit of a time crunch here, but we'll talk about some of these prospects in this stream. So if you want to know what to look for tomorrow and on Friday over the first round, you'll be covered. You'll be covered with this stream. This will be a fun stream to do. I made some sick graphics for March Madness, and I wanted to kind of use them. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this stream. But I love the NCAA tournament. I love college basketball, so I'm very excited for the next couple of days. We will still have Blazers Uprise live tomorrow around 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, but I'm going to be watching basketball all day. That'll probably be a shorter stream, unless you guys want me to do like a couple of streams over the next 4 days where I'm just watching March Madness and kind of doing maybe a play-by-play of a couple different games or reacting live to a couple of different games. If you guys want that, let me know. AJ says, Tori, is it cool if I use your bracket to make mine for a group against my friends? Yeah, go ahead. I will say my bracket has changed a bit, and I will say it depends on the scoring system, AJ. The bracket video that I dropped on Sunday, which is popping off, by the way, how many? Let me check how many views it has right now, because that's the most views I've gotten on a video in a while. It almost has 8,000 views, so that's pretty cool. But that was for a bracket pool which rewards upsets. So if your bracket pool you get a certain number of points for getting a pick right and that's it, then maybe go a little less upset heavy would be, if it's regular ESPN rules, I'd go a little bit less upset heavy, change up a couple things. There is a cool video out there. It's like a 55-minute video that's 68 teams explained in March Madness. That's a really good video if you don't know much about these teams. If you go and watch that video, tonight, you'll have a pretty good feel for the teams heading into tomorrow. And it's always fun to kind of know what you're watching in March Madness, to know what teams' strengths and weaknesses are, a couple of the storylines going into things. It just makes it more compelling basketball to watch. So join our free bracket pool, by the way, if you haven't already. There's a link in the description box below. We want as many people to join our free bracket pool as possible. We'll do something for the winner. So definitely hit that link in the description. Go join our free bracket pool and participate with us. I'm in it. Eric's in it. We got a few people in that, so come compete with us for free. If you want to join our $20 bracket pool, let me know. We have a separate $20 bracket pool. Put a little bit of money at stake. So let me know if you want to join that. DM me on Twitter or email me blazersupprise@gmail.com, something like that. Anyway, do as much or a little research as you want, man. That's the thing, is it's a crapshoot. We don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of different things that play out over the next couple of days. Anyway, let's just hop into things. So here's the graphics that I got for this. We got cool graphics down here. I like, this is clean. This is clean. I'll do rambling videos on the main channel probably after the first and second round, just kind of talking about each game, just not even really editing it, just rambling it. People like when I just kind of do ramble videos without much editing. So I think I'll do a video like that talking about each round of the NCAA tournament. That would be fun. Right now I'm just, with the season being an absolute mess, I'm trying to put out stuff that I enjoy putting out. That's why I'm doing the stream, because I enjoy talking about March Madness. So let's just jump into action. I mean, Gonzaga, Georgia State plays 4 guards. They're not going to be able to compete with Gonzaga's size. 1 versus 16 matchups are usually a blowout. It's always a storyline if it's close at half. Okay, and I pray that my Gonzaga Bulldogs aren't a 1 seed that loses to a 16 seed this year. Hopefully that's not the case. I'm not too worried about this. But obviously, if you want to watch Chet beat up on a small college, this is your chance to do so. The following matchup after this is really interesting, though, because it's Boise State versus Memphis. And why this is interesting is if Memphis wins, they of course have Jalen Duran, who's a projected lottery pick center. If Memphis wins, that would set up a Gonzaga-Memphis second round. That would set up Chet Holmgren versus Jalen Duran. And I'm going to that game. I'm going to the second round in Portland, so it should be Gonzaga against whoever wins this game. It could be Boise State. Don't sleep on Boise State. They're a very solid team, but I could get a chance to see up close in person Jalen Duran versus Chet Holmgren. I talk about scouting guys, watching games on TV to scout guys. I'll actually be scouting Jalen Duran in person. Okay, so that's like real-life scouting, I guess. I've never been to a March Madness game. That should be fun. But, yeah, Jalen Duran versus Chet Holmgren. Everybody gives Chet Holmgren a bunch of crap because of how skinny he is. And, he needs to put on weight for sure. Jalen Duran is built. Jalen Duran is a beast. Jalen Duran would be an interesting guy, an NBA caliber big man who's stronger than Chet Holmgren. It would be interesting to see Chet against him to see if Chet could succeed in that matchup. Outside of that, Gonzaga has the advantage pretty much everywhere else. So, I think Gonzaga will beat whichever one of these teams win this game, but it'll be interesting for this first round matchup to watch some Jalen Duran. I haven't watched enough of him. So Boise State Memphis is kind of, Memphis has more talent. They're just not as disciplined as Boise State. Boise State plays more like a team. So those two contrasts and styles will be interesting to watch in this game. And the way teams are different and unique is what makes March Madness so fun, is because each team kind of has their own style, their own way they play the game, their own strengths and weaknesses, and seeing those clash in matchups is always extremely interesting in March when it's do or die. Madden Mobile says, Tori, let's go to the game together and get a beer. I'm going with Connor and Greg. I'm going with the Martin twins. So we're going to be sitting 100 level and watching both those games. I got two second round games that we're going to be able to watch, so that will be fun. Let's jump into the next matchup, which is Uconn versus New Mexico State. I like Uconn. I like Big East teams this year, except for Providence. We'll get into them in a bit. New Mexico State isn't a team to be messed around with. They've been a tournament team pretty consistently over the past decade. They've had some good tournament moments, but UConn's just an interesting team because they're not the biggest team, but they crash the offensive glass really hard. Tyrese, I'm forgetting his name. Tyrese Martin, I think his name is. That dude's fun to watch. He had some big time moments in the Big East tournament. I trust the Big East this year. That's kind of the conference that I've put a lot of stock in when filling out my bracket. UConn isn't a team I've watched a whole lot of, so I'm not going to sit here and lie like I have, but it's a potential matchup, or it's a potential upset. New Mexico State's a solid team. They're good enough to make this a close game, but I didn't have this in my potential matchups video, which I just dropped over on the main channel, Blazers Uprise. I just dropped 13 potential first round matchups upset video. I didn't have this included simply because I trust UConn a lot more than the other 5 seeds in this tournament. I trust UConn and Iowa. Those are the 2 5 seeds I like. The other 2 I'm not super high on. Let's move on to Arkansas, Vermont. All right, so this was one of my upset picks in my bracket. Vermont shoots the 3 ball like crazy. They're super efficient. Arkansas doesn't really shoot the 3 ball well, but it's a contrast in styles. Vermont's kind of the methodical, find good shots, and then they knock down their shots. Super efficient offense. Arkansas is a defensive team that has better size, better athleticism, better on the interior. So those 2 styles is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But if this ends up becoming a game where like Vermont isn't giving up much on the interior, Arkansas is having to knock down threes, and it becomes a bit of a 3-point shooting battle, Vermont's going to win that type of game. So that's to watch for in this matchup. This is my favorite. This is my second favorite 13/4 upset. I love the 13 seeds this year. So this is one of my 13/4 upsets that I had in my bracket. Vermont over Arkansas. All right. Alabama versus whoever wins this first 4 game. This first 4 game is tonight at tips off at 6:40. So during the Blazer game. It'll be interesting to see which team makes it out of there. Alabama, I had in my potential upsets video because they're a team that shoots a ton of threes, but doesn't make a ton of threes. They shoot 31% from 3, but half their shots are from 3. So if they make shots, they could go on a run. If they miss shots, they could lose to pretty much anybody in this tournament. Alabama's just a wild card, hot and cold. You have no idea what you're going to get with them. First 4 teams win pretty consistently. Every year, I think, since they instituted the first four team is won in the following round, in the first round, after winning their first 4 games. So I actually switched this to picking whoever wins this first 4 game. I have them beating Alabama simply because I don't know. It's a toss-up to me, this particular game. Alabama, you just can't trust or rely on them to consistently hit threes, and they shoot so many of them that they have to hit threes to have success in March. So that's Alabama versus whoever wins that. Texas Tech, Montana State. I had this in the upsets video too, so I guess I'm spoiling some of it. You haven't seen that video yet, so some of this might be a little bit repetitive if you watch that video after the stream. Texas Tech plays really good defense, number 1 ranked defense in KenPom. I think Texas Tech will win this game. I've bordered on picking Montana State because initially, I forget what I had in my initial bracket video. My bracket's changed like 3 times. A lot of my picks are still the same, but Texas Tech is a team that I almost put Montana State beating. And that was simply because I had Alabama in the Sweet 16, and now it's like I don't trust Alabama enough. I didn't realize that they shot that bad of a percentage from 3. I knew they shot a lot of threes, but Alabama beat Gonzaga earlier this year, and I remember Alabama looking really impressive in that game, but they were just knocking down threes. And then I saw their 3-point percentage. I can't trust Alabama, so I actually switched both these picks. I got Texas Tech beating Montana State, and I got whichever one of those first 4 teams beating Alabama, and then I have Texas Tech moving on to the Sweet 16. Really good defensive team. I just don't know if their offense is good enough to compete, because they're going to go up against a good offensive team at some point. Could be Duke in the Sweet 16, and I think, if they face a team like Duke, they have enough talent that they're still going to be able to score against this Texas Tech defense. I don't know if Texas Tech can score with them, so I don't have Texas Tech making a deep tournament run, but whenever you have a defense that good, you're always able to have a chance at making some noise, making a deep run, making a Final Four. Michigan State Davidson is going to be a fun game. Michigan State, I think, is a little bit overrated. Everybody always goes with Michigan State in their brackets to go on deep runs because it always seems like every time they're a 7 seed or a 5 seed or whatever, they go on a deep tournament run. This is not the year to have them doing that. They got Max Christie, but he's inconsistent. He's their 1 NBA draft prospect. So if you want to do some scouting, he's like a second round, maybe in the 30s, 40s draft prospect. So right around the Blazers' first, second round pick, Max Christie would be a guy to watch. There isn't a lot of NBA talent in this region. That's why I haven't talked much about NBA talent, but Max Christie is a guy to watch. Davidson has Hyung Jung Lee. I hope I said his name right. He's a 6'7" sniper. He shoots the lights out of the ball. Davidson just hunts threes, but they shoot better from 3 than Alabama. Michigan State's a more well-rounded team, like Tom Izzo's teams usually are. Final game in this region, you got Duke, Cal State, Fullerton. Here's your game to scout, I guess, but Cal State, Fullerton isn't much of a matchup for Duke, so Duke has 5 potential first-round picks. So if you haven't watched Duke, if you haven't watched Banchero, if you haven't watched AJ Griffin, both those guys are potential Blazers first-round picks, depending on where the Blazers picks end up. And then Trevor Keels, Mark Williams, and Wendell Moore Jr. are all potential first-round picks. Mark Williams could be the backup center going into next year. If the Blazers trade down in the draft, they might trade down from like 10 to 17 and 21 and take a Mark Williams to fill in that backup center spot. I wouldn't be shocked if something like that happens. So honestly, all players on this team are worth scouting, and I wouldn't rule out for the Blazers. They have so many picks that they could kind of maneuver their way into any portion of the draft. So definitely be on the lookout for Duke. Definitely watch some Duke. What's up, Mods? What's up, Zach? What's up, Jackson? Good to see y'all. We're through previewing the Western region, which is the top left region on the bracket. Let's talk about the top right. which is the Midwest region. Arizona obviously headlines that. This first 4 game with Bryant is going to be interesting. They have the nation's leading scorer, Peter Kiss. He's like the mid-major Marshall Henderson. Shout out to you if you remember Marshall Henderson at Ole Miss. But this I've never wanted to watch a 16 versus 16 first 4 game as much as this one. It tips off probably right when the stream is going to end. So definitely, if you have some time, Peter Kiss, it'll be interesting to see what antics he comes up with tonight, because he has a lot of antics on the court. That's the best way I can describe it. Arizona's going to take care of business against whichever one of these teams. Arizona's obviously very, very impressive. Arizona has Mathurin, who could be a Blazer pick, and then Koloko, who a lot of people have slipped into the second round. I think he's a borderline top 20 prospect. I think he's definitely a first-round prospect. So definitely watch some Christian Koloko, because if other people are right and he slips to the second round, that's the guy you have to take at 38 or 37 or wherever the Blazers' second-round pick ends up. That's a guy who could step in right away and be our backup center next year. So Koloko and Mathurin, 2 guys to watch. Obviously, they're probably just going to crush whoever the 16 seed is, but later in the tournament, those are 2 guys to watch for sure. Seton Hall Tcu, just a good old 8-9 toss-up matchup. I had TCU at first. Now I have Seton Hall. I don't know who I think will win this game. This is a coin flip at this point. There's no NBA prospects in this game. It should just be a good old-fashioned close basketball game. And that's the thing. Even in games where it's just kind of 2 random teams without NBA talent, if it ends up being a close game in March Madness with, you lose, your season's done, you win, you're moving on, those are always fun moments to watch play out. So Seton Hall, TCU, 8 and 9 seed in this region. Iowa, Richmond. All right, Keegan Murray, if you haven't seen him, here's your chance to watch him playing for Iowa. Iowa is my favorite 5 seed. They are a big-time sleeper for me. Keegan Murray, he's a beast in college. He's a star in college. I don't know how his game translates to the NBA. I've talked about that on multiple streams. A little bit lower on him than Eric is, but dude is a star. Dude could carry this Iowa team. Definitely a recommended watch. I wouldn't rule out Richmond, but this is my least confident upset. I think Iowa easily takes care of business here. I think Iowa wins by double digits over Richmond. Illinois, Chattanooga. I talked about this game a lot in my 13 potential first-round upsets video that I dropped on the main channel. Illinois, they got Kofi Cockburn, right? He's a beast on the interior, one of the best big men in the league, one of the best post-up threats. I said in the league, in the country. This isn't the NBA. He's, I think, the leading post scorer in the country as well. But Chattanooga plays physical. Chattanooga has good guard play as well, so I think they might be able to kind of, I wouldn't say neutralize Kofi, but be able to throw enough big physical bodies at him to slow him down a little bit. And then, Malachi Smith, David Jean-Baptiste, who was the guy who hit that crazy sick buzzer beater over Furman to get Chattanooga into the tournament to win their conference championship. Chattanooga is a team to watch out for. This is a trendy 13/4 upset pick, in my opinion. It's a Chattanooga team that I'm excited to watch to see how they match up with Illinois. Illinois, that's the thing. I have Chattanooga over Illinois in my bracket. I wouldn't be shocked if Illinois beats them by double digits, but I don't trust Illinois. So if you have Illinois going deep in your tournament, that could be the right pick. Illinois might make the Final Four. You know what I mean? Like, who am I to tell you who to pick? But Illinois, me personally, I do not trust the orange or whatever their mascot is. What is Illinois'? Why am I blanking on their mascot? It's not orange. That's Syracuse. What's Illinois' dude? Ben Darling would be disappointed with me, our resident Illinois fan. Shout out JM1231, $2 dono. He says DDMF. I don't know what that stands for, JM. He says, let's go Duke. Hope all is well. Tori, my man. Appreciate you, JM. All is well until, all will be well if Gonzaga beats Duke since they're playing in the same region. All will be terrible if Duke beats Gonzaga. So appreciate your dono, but I can't ride with the let's go Duke. Somebody please tell me what Illinois' mascot is. Illinois. What am I saying? Illinois. I know how to say Illinois. I've been talking to too many people that say Illinois, apparently. Tell me what their mascot is, because I'm absolutely blanking on it. Let's move on to a Colorado State, Michigan. All right, David Roddy is one of my favorite sleepers for a second-round draft prospect. He's a unique guy, 6'5", 6'6", perimeter player who can handle the ball, he can pass, he can shoot. The thing is, he's 250 pounds at 6'5", 6'6". Like, dude looks like he's a football player. Dude almost looks like he's a lineman. But he's surprisingly sneaky athletic for how much he weighs. I like him as a prospect because I think you get him in the NBA and you have him lose 30 pounds and you have a really solid player on your hands. Pass, dribble, shoot. And I think once he loses 30 pounds, he'll even be more athletic. I think he'll be a solid NBA small forward. He plays for Colorado State, so here's your chance to watch them. I just don't like this matchup for Colorado State. Michigan struggled throughout the year, were very inconsistent, but they have a ton of size, and that's kind of Colorado State's weakness. So it'll be interesting to see if guys like Hunter Dickinson, Musa Diabate have success in the first round against Colorado State. But the guy to scout is David Roddy, and then Caleb Houston for Michigan is also a potential second-round pick that maybe the Blazers take with the 38th, 37th overall pick. Caleb Houston was a guy who was a projected lottery pick before this year. His stock has fallen to the early second round. So two guys in this game to scout if you're trying to kind of catch up on some draft prospects or, kind of figure out who you want the Blazers to end up drafting in June. Tennessee versus Longwood. I don't know why I like Longwood, but Tennessee is the best 3 seed. They should have been a number 2 seed. They got absolutely screwed in terms of their seeding in this year's NCAA tournament. They have some really good wins. Can play both sides of the ball. Good guard play. Basically, they're just a well-rounded team that I don't see many weaknesses in. If Arizona doesn't make the Final Four, I think it's going to be Tennessee. Villanova is the 2 seed in this region, but I trust Tennessee to make it further than them for sure. I really like Tennessee going into this tournament, but I don't know. Longwood's one of those teams that I've barely watched. I've watched a little bit of highlight footage on, but for whatever reason, I get a good vibe from them. So my gut feeling says this is going to be a close first-round matchup, even though I really like Tennessee. So something to watch out for in this game. Is it close? Is my gut feeling correct? We will see. Or is Tennessee going to run away with things? It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. 7-seeded Ohio State versus 10-seeded Loyola Chicago. See, I talk about storylines and how it makes games interesting, and this is one of them because Ohio State constantly chokes and Loyola Chicago constantly upsets teams. So either both those trends will end if Ohio State wins, or both those trends will continue if Loyola Chicago takes care of business. Everybody loves picking Loyola Chicago since they made the Final Four as an 11 seed 4 years ago, and then last year as an 8 seed, they made the Sweet 16, then lost to the 12th seeded Oregon State Beavers, who were 3-28 this year. Did not continue their tournament success into anything, unfortunately. But Loyola Chicago, Ohio State. Ohio State has 2 guys to scout: E.J. Liddell, who's probably going to be a late first, and then Malachi Branham, who I've seen in the second. I've seen some people have him in the mid first. I don't know where he's going to go, but he's been a guy who's been catching some hype lately, kind of picking up steam as a draft prospect. So I haven't watched him yet. I'm looking forward to watching Liddell and Branham because honestly, I don't like Ohio State. I don't usually watch Ohio State. I always pick them to get upset in my brackets, and it's panned out really well. They were a 2 seed last year, and I picked them to lose to 15th seeded Oral Roberts, and that was correct. Oral Roberts took care of business. So, but I need to scout both those guys, so I'm looking forward to watching Branham and E.J. Liddell play. Definitely look for those 2 guys on Ohio State in this game. Let's move on to Villanova Delaware. I changed my mind from my initial bracket, and I said screw it, and I'm picking Delaware to win this game. Could be completely ridiculous as a pick, but I have Villanova losing in the next round to Loyola Chicago anyway, so I wanted to pick a 15 seed for fun, especially since my bracket pool rewards upsets. It's like if you get the first round pick right, you get 3 points, but then you add the seed. So if you pick Villanova and they win, you'd get 3 plus 2, you'd get 5 points. If you pick Delaware and they win, you'd get 18 points. So that's a way where my bracket pool, my $20 bracket pool, and the free bracket pool, I think we set up the same way. Eric set that one up. Rewards upsets. So I said, screw it. I went with Delaware. I'll take the extra points. If they lose, I'm rooting for Loyola Chicago in the next round anyway, because I think Loyola Chicago will beat Villanova. I don't trust Villanova. They got Colin Gillespie, but outside that, they got some solid forward play. They play really well as a team. They play smart basketball. They don't beat themselves, but something's off with this team for me. Could just be a gut feeling, man. A lot of this stuff is just kind of gut feelings, but something feels off with Villanova. I feel like they lose pretty early. Illinois Fighting Illini. Oh, I was thinking fighting. I thought Fighting Illini, and then I was like, wait, no, that's Notre Dame, but that's Fighting Irish. I'm tripping. Anyway, Jackson said, I'll assume not since Tori won't read. I'm going through the graphics and whatnot. I'm just kind of straight spitballing here. But Jackson says should be here. Still need to fill out my bracket. Jackson, go fill out your bracket if you want. Don't let me influence you. I'm just a moron who doesn't know what he's talking about, right? So, you're a better basketball mind than me. So trust yourself, all right? And good luck on your bracket, Jackson. Anyway, that wraps up the South. Let's talk about the Midwest region, which is the bottom right. Kansas taking on Texas Southern. If a 16 seed is going to be competitive, it's going to be Texas Southern against Kansas. Texas Southern against Kansas. Okay, I don't trust Kansas. I like Agbaji. I even like Christian Brown. Outside of that, they brought in a lot of transfers, and they haven't really played up to their billing. Remy Martin has had kind of a weird season. He was a really good player at Arizona State last year, averaged like 17 a game, is now coming off the bench, and at times just looks too passive, which is weird because he was like a score first guard at Arizona State, never looked like that. Now he does. They got McCormick's, their big man. He's solid on the interior. They got, I'm blanking on a couple of their names. This is one of those teams where I've watched them multiple times, but when it comes to try to remember who they have, I struggle. But then I watch their games, oh yeah, this guy and this guy and this guy. So maybe I should bring up team stats. I'm gonna do that so I can provide a little better analysis on some of these. Basketball. No, I gotta go to Sports Reference. SportsReference.com. Let's look up Kansas. I have Kansas losing in the second round to Creighton, the 9 seed in their pod. Agbaji and Christian Brown are the two guys to watch. Agbaji will probably be a lottery pick, probably between a 9 and 14. And then Christian Brown is a late first, early second guy, might slip to the Blazers for a second round pick. Agbaji's shooting 50. He's shooting 54% from 2 and 40% from 3, 20 points per game. Good defender, solid size, can play the 2 or the 3. I really like him as a prospect. I wouldn't mind the Blazers drafting him. And then Christian Brown, 6'7", guy that can create off the dribble, can shoot threes, 38%. He's averages 15 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Jalen Wilson, I don't know too much about his game. He's just kind of been a filler player for them. He averages 11 points per game. He's their third in the scorer. David McCormick, 10 points per game. Remy Martin, 7 points per game. That's Kansas for you. Let's move on to... No, I don't. I moved the graphic to the right. There we go. San Diego State Creighton. I really like Creighton. They looked really good in the Big East. They're playing their best basketball of the season. They almost won the Big East Conference Championship against Villanova. They lost in crunch time. Colin Gillespie hit 2 threes to beat Creighton, but they blew out Providence by 30. Creighton is legitimate. Kalkbrenner I like as a 7-foot center that can shoot some threes. They are a good defensive team. Their only question mark is, are they going to be able to put enough points on the board? They put enough points up against Providence, but against Villanova, that was a very low-scoring game. They shoot only 31% from 3, so that's kind of their Achilles heel, but they've been shooting the 3-ball better as of late. Their leading guard, Ryan Nembhard, brother of Andrew Nembhard. I can't believe I blanked on his name. He's a Gonzaga player. What am I doing? Ryan Nembhard was their leading guard, but he's injured. He's out for the season, so that definitely hurts them. They got Alex O'Connell, a guy who's played at Duke and transferred to Creighton this year. Kalkbrenner, I thought he shot more threes. I remember him hitting a three. Maybe I'm mixing him up with somebody else, but he only shoots 25% from three and only shoots a three every other game or so. So yeah, this is a team that struggles to shoot, but I like the way they play defense. I like the way they're playing heading into March. San Diego State is another team I don't know too much about. There are teams still in this tournament that I don't know enough about. San Diego State is one of those teams that play defense and struggles to score the ball, though. So if you like those types of teams, maybe roll with San Diego State. But San Diego State has struggled in the tournament. Last year, I believe they got upset. I think they were a 6 seed. Maybe that was 2019. I don't remember. But nobody to really scout in this game. So let's move on to Houston UAB, my favorite 12/5 seed upset. UAB has a star guard in Jordan Walker, just dropped 40 points in their conference championship. He could be one of those like mid-major stars that puts a mid-major team on their back for a tournament run and becomes a well-known name because of it. Like Max A. Smith last year for Oral Roberts. I can see that happening with Jordan Walker and UAB. I don't trust Houston. I want to watch some Fabian White because I think he's played himself into fringe draftable territory. He was a big part of their Final Four team last year as more of a defensive player. This year he learned how to shoot threes. Now he's shooting the three ball well. So I haven't seen him on any draft boards, but from what I've seen of him, I think he's a draftable player at the end of the second round. The Blazers have the second to last pick in the second round, so Fabian White's going to be a guy I'm watching. Houston's just kind of a weird team. Metrics have them ranked really high, but they don't have a quality win. So I don't really know what they are at this point. Providence, South Dakota State. This is my favorite 13/4 upset. Providence was ranked as the luckiest team in college basketball based off KenPom. They just lost by 30 in the Big East tournament to Creighton. I don't trust Providence at all. They avoided playing some of their hardest Big East games. I don't know if it was COVID or what, but saw a tweet about how they avoided playing at Seton Hall, at Creighton, and at home versus Uconn, I think it was. So they won their conference in the regular season, but they avoided some tougher matchups. As I said, luckiest team in KenPom. I do not trust Providence. South Dakota State, another one of those 13 seeds that can shoot the ball. A lot of these mid-major teams can just shoot the ball. Let me bring up South Dakota State here so I can give you the exact three-point percentage. As a team, they shoot the best three-point ball in the country. As a team, South Dakota State shoots 45% from three. A lot of mid-major upsets, they get us by just getting hot from three, right? So you're talking about a team that's maybe a bit of a fraud, maybe overseeded. Advanced metrics say they're the luckiest team versus a 13 seed that shoots 45% from three. Like, that was enough for me to pick South Dakota State over them. But they also are efficient from two, 57% from two. So this is a team that is extremely, extremely efficient. So it'll be interesting to see just how well they're able to put points on the board against Providence. Obviously, Providence is a better team than South Dakota State is playing in their conference. So it'll be interesting to see if the way they were able to score the ball all season is able to translate into this game. They got a good backcourt, too. They got sound guard play. Douglas Wilson, Baylor Shireman. Hopefully I said his name right. Both average 16 points per game for them. So teams that can shoot threes, have good guard play, don't make mistakes are teams that I like is upset favorites. So South Dakota State. Shout out to Amazed Worldwide. I need to start shouting him out by his name, but I forget his name. But somebody I've met, but he's a South Dakota State fan. He was hoping that they ended up playing in Portland, and they ended up getting put in Buffalo. I thought they were going to get put in Portland. They got put in Buffalo. That's really unfortunate. But yeah, South Dakota State's not a team to mess around with. LSU Iowa State. This is going to be an ugly game. This is maybe the worst game of the first round. You got LSU, who just lost their coach, versus Iowa State, who can't score and is 9-9 in their last 18 games. Iowa State does have 9 quality wins, but 9-9 over their last 18 games. They're a defensive team that really struggled to score the ball. They sucked last year, so this is quite a turnaround for them. My bracketology had them ranked as like a 9 seed because those 9 quality wins look good on a resume. So they have a solid resume. They looked underseeded, but then when you talk about a team that's not playing well heading into this game, I don't know if I changed my mind, and I'm picking LSU in this game because LSU has defensive talent as well. Tari Eason, of course, they're a solid defensive team. I think Iowa State's really going to struggle to put points on the board, so watch out for that in this game. We'll see if I'm right about that. LSU scout Tari Eason. He's a potential lottery pick. Would make a lot of sense for the Blazers, especially with like if the Pelicans pick falls to 10th or 11th, he would probably be my pick there. So definitely watch him in this game. Do some scouting on him. This is just an ugly game. When you talk about a team losing their coach, who knows what LSU looks like. They're probably going to try and run all the same stuff. It's just Will Wade's gone, and then Iowa State kiss score. It's going to be an ugly one. So let's just move on to Wisconsin Colgate. Johnny Davis. Here's your chance to scout him. There's a lot of NBA talent in this region. Johnny Davis, probable top 7, top 8 pick. Versus Colgate, who's a team that's made the tournament 3 years in a row, so they have some experience. I think this might be the most likely 14/3 seed upset. I don't know if Johnny Davis is 100%. I don't really trust Wisconsin this year. And there's teams that I've never really trusted. Wisconsin is one of them. If Colgate can slow down Johnny Davis, they'll have a chance. That's really the key for this game for Colgate. They gotta not let Johnny Davis get going because obviously he makes everything happen. As far as Colgate goes, they shoot 40% from 3, so they can shoot the 3 ball. They're an okay rebounding team. They rebound the ball decently. The problem is they end up fouling a lot. They commit 15 fouls a game, which is a lot for college. So when you get an aggressive guy like a Johnny Davis attacking them, I mean, I feel like Johnny Davis is going to be able to get to the line a lot in this game. Colgate's really going to have to knock down threes and not foul and try and slow down Johnny Davis. That's the keys for them in order to get this potential upset. But, it's another mid-major team that shoots really well from 3. Those teams are always scary and potential upset picks. For Wisconsin, Johnny Davis, as I said, he averages 20 points per game for them, gets 8 rebounds per game, only 2 assists per game. But he's shot 32% from 3 this year, has to take some tough shots. So, it's not like he's insanely efficient, 43% from the field. So he has games where he just doesn't make shots. The thing is, he attacks and he gets to the free throw line 6 times a game, a lot for college. So it'll be interesting to watch him. Brad Davison's their second best player, averages 14.5 points per game. Just scout Johnny Davis in this game. That's the guy I'm watching. That's kind of the key to this game for Colgate winning. They got to slow him down. And then, it'll be interesting to see if Johnny Davis is one of those guys that can put his team on his back in March and raise his draft value because of it. I don't think there's any chance he falls out of the top 10, but he's trending a little bit lower compared to where he was earlier in the season in terms of his draft stock. He's more in the 6 to 8 range, where earlier this season he was looked at in like the 4 to 6 range. Let's move on to USC Miami. This is an interesting game because I think whichever one of these teams wins will have a very good chance at winning the next round, and we'll talk about why in the next game. But USC got Isaiah Mobley, potential second-round pick, a guy to scout. They got, God, I always forget this dude's name. Let me look up their team. Where are we looking at here? I just talked to somebody about USC and I forgot. Drew Peterson, that's the dude's name, a good guard. And then Boogie Ellis. Isaiah Mobley, Boogie Ellis, Drew Peterson are kind of their 3 guys to watch. Drew Peterson's a creative player, a fun player to watch. USC is just a well-rounded team. They shoot the 3 ball at 35%. Isaiah Mobley is a good playmaking big. He plays different than his brother Evan Mobley. He's not as good defensively, but he's he's a little bit more of a perimeter player, so to say. So that's the guy to scout in this matchup. Miami has a veteran team, and why am I blanking on names? What's the dude's name? Cameron Mcguckey, that's the guy. He's I think he's a 5th-year senior. He averages almost 18 points per game for them. He played at Oklahoma earlier in his career, transferred to Miami, redshirted a year. He actually started playing college basketball in 2016, 2017, so he's been around the block, so to say. He's a skilled guy. Isaiah Wong averages 15 points per game. Those are 2 guys that make them go. But this is a guard-heavy team. Their top 4 players are guards. It's going to be interesting to see if they're able to slow down Isaiah Mobley. That's kind of the key to this game. If there's any one player that's the key, is Isaiah Mobley. He kind of makes everything run there for USC. I picked USC to make the Sweet 16, so I'm going to be rooting heavily for USC in this game. And Auburn is the 2 seed, and I don't trust Auburn. I've said it multiple times, 30% as a team from 3. That stat's like 2 weeks old, so let me actually look up their current stat and see what the exact number is on their 3-point shooting. As a team, they got it up to 32% from 3. Good for them. But they're not a good 3-point shooting team. They have very suspect guard play. KD Johnson and Wendell Green are their 2 lead guards, but they're very erratic, make some very questionable decisions. Multiple people, and probably people in this chat watching the stream right now, have gotten frustrated with Auburn guards for freezing out Jabari Smith, for not feeding Jabari Smith enough. So I'm worried that that's going to happen in the NCAA tournament. I'm worried that their guard play is going to be their downfall. That combined with the fact that they can't shoot threes, that's my worry for Auburn. And then if they play a team that doesn't let them get out and run as well on top of that, then it's just going to make that worse because like a guy like Wendell Green forces more things in the half court. I don't really like them as a half court team. They got, obviously, a great front court, Jabari Smith. You guys should all know about him at this point, and obviously you guys should watch him in March Madness, see what he does. And then they got Walker Kessler, who's right now a projected mid to late first-round pick as a 7-1 center that blocks a ton of shots. So those are 2 guys to watch, 2 prospects to watch. But, it starts with the guard play. The thing is, Jabari Smith doesn't handle the ball super well. Doesn't run pick and roll as a ball handler. He still kind of plays off guys. He doesn't get to the rim enough. Isn't a good enough dribble driver yet. I don't know if he's going to be able to just put the team on his back if his guards are freezing him out a little bit, and if a defense has a good game plan for him. That's going to be the key for any team beating Auburn, is they're going to have to slow down Jabari Smith. That's why I like USC to take care of business in the second round, because I think Isaiah Mobley, he's mobile and has size. I think he'll actually be a pretty good option to throw up against Jabari Smith. And if you can slow down Jabari Smith, then it's going to end up with Wendell Green and KD Johnson trying to do too much. And I don't think that's a recipe for success for Auburn. Therefore, I am fading Auburn. They haven't played well as of late. So I don't trust Auburn in this year's tournament. Spencer Grant said, I promised I finished my bracket before you made these videos, but we have a lot of the same first round upsets, so that's reassuring. Spencer Grant in my bracket pool. I trust you, man. I mean, I don't know. If people want to watch them, they can. I just always, don't try to influence people too much, but I know a lot of my upset picks are kind of trendy upset picks, so yeah. Good luck in our bracket pool, man. Let's move on to the final region, which is going to be the Eastern region. You got Baylor, Norfolk State. I mean, Baylor's probably going to take care of business, but this is the other 1 versus 16 seed that might be close-ish for a half. Baylor, they're not as good as last year. They don't have the star power as last year. They don't have a guy that you can give the ball to that's going to carry them quite like Jared Butler and Davion Mitchell did last year. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Baylor. I don't have them making it past the Sweet 16. I have UCLA beating them. But, Baylor could make another run to the Final Four. I wouldn't rule that out. I just don't like them as much as a 1 seed as an Arizona or a Gonzaga. Let's move on to the 8-9 matchup. This is going to be interesting because you got North Carolina. They struggled to start the season, but they've been playing really good basketball lately against a Marquette team that's been up and down, coached by Shaka Smart. No prospects. There is Justin Lewis is a second-round prospect, so definitely pay attention to him. The problem is Marquette kind of relies on him too much. I don't know. I've watched, I think, 1.5 games of Marquette's, and their offense doesn't have enough kind of flow to it. Their offense seems like it can get kind of a bit stagnant, and they fight the shot clock a little bit too much. So watch out for that in this game. And North Carolina doesn't really have a prospect to scout, in my opinion. St. Mary's, Indiana is going to be a fun game. St. Mary's has had a good season. I think they're a little overseeded because they beat Gonzaga on the final day of the regular season, but that was a game that Gonzaga did not come out ready for, and we're just sleepwalking. Like, that's the worst I've seen Gonzaga look in years. Sure, give some credit to St. Mary's, but that was just a disaster. So, if Gonzaga came ready to play, St. Mary's might be a 7 seed. You know what I mean? I don't know if St. Mary's is worthy of a 5 seed in terms of just their talent level. They got a couple good guards. They play good defense. But Indiana's a team coming off a first 4 win. Like I said earlier, first 4 teams seem to win. At least one first 4 team seems to make it to the next round, make it to the second round. So that is has a good chance of being Indiana, in my opinion. They've played well in the Big Ten as of late. So this, I think, will be a really competitive, really close game. Let's move on. UCLA is my favorite 4 seed. My favorite 4 or 5 seed. Right now I have them in the Final Four. They made the Final Four last year with the same roster. And then they added Miles Johnson? I'm blanking on his name because I keep blanking on names. But they added, Miles Johnson is his name. Good shot blocker to their team. Good defensive player. He plays about 20 minutes per game. So that's really the only change in their lineup from last year is they added him from Rutgers. So this lineup has proven that they can make a Final Four run. And they made it as an 11 seed against a pretty tough road. I think the road is easier this year for them to make it to the Final Four. I think I trust them against Akron. And then second round, they're going to play St. Mary's or Indiana. I think they'll take care of business. I think we're on a crash course for a Baylor-UCLA Sweet 16. And I think that'll be a really good game. They were competitive against Arizona in the Pac-12 championship. They ended up losing that game, but it was a competitive game. They played Arizona tight. I think UCLA is a really good sleeper team this year. They've proven it. Johnny Juzang is going to have to hit shots once again because they rely on him to hit some contested, tough looks. But I think he's up for the challenge. Just, not... In terms of NBA prospects, Johnny Juzang, I don't think his game translates to the NBA too well. So I wouldn't put too much stock in him. Jaime Jaquez is the guy to scout, in my opinion. He's a mid-second round pick as a forward, good role player, kind of does it all, can pass, put the ball on the floor a little bit, can knock down threes. So Jaime Jaquez is the one guy to scout in this game. Let's move on. Texas, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's one of my favorite sleeper teams, playing great basketball heading into the NCAA tournament, won the ACC tournament, beat North Carolina, beat Duke. They are hot at the right time and playing really good basketball. Ken Palm ranks them very, very highly. 22nd ranked team in the country, according to Ken Palm. So Virginia Tech, I mean, you could argue, if seeding was based on Ken Palm, they'd be like a 5 or a 6 seed. Texas is a weird team. They don't really have a go-to guy. Texas is always a weird team, man. They lost in the first round last year, and I picked them to go to the Final Four, which was a mistake. But I trusted Greg Brown, your Portland Trailblazer. I trusted Kai Jones and Jericho Sims. I liked their big men last year, and they looked out of sorts in the first round, and I feel like they'll look out of sorts in the first round once again. They don't really know where to go with the ball down the stretch. That's what I've noticed in a lot of their games, and they end up getting pretty stagnant down the stretch. So I don't trust them for that reason. They played Gonzaga earlier this year, ended up getting killed, ended up getting crushed. They shoot only 32% from threes, so they don't shoot the 3 ball super well. Average almost as many turnovers as assists. They play some defense. That's why they are a 6 seed. They're a solid defensive team, but I think Virginia Tech's going to be able to score on them. So this is going to be a fun first-round matchup. Honestly, I think more than half of people have Virginia Tech as the winner in this game. Like, it's almost like Virginia Tech's the favorite in this game. I want to look up the spread on this game because I'm curious to see if Vegas has... who Vegas has as the favorite. This game is tomorrow, or is it Friday? This game's on Friday. Texas is a 1-point favorite heading into tomorrow. So Texas is still the favorite, but this is pretty much a toss-up according to Vegas. That game will be at 1:30 tomorrow, or that game will be at 1:30 on Friday on TBS. Let's move on. I'm not going to say how far I have Virginia Tech going, but it's further than I had in my initial bracket. I'll just say that right now. Purdue, Yale, Purdue, Jaden Ivey, they got the star. They play at a really fast tempo. When they're able to get him the ball, he's a menace in transition. And then their second and third best players are both centers, so they don't play at the same time. So Zach Edey and Trevion Williams are both potential second-round prospects, late second-round prospects. So Jaden Ivey and then those two are guys to watch, guys to scout. But the problem is that Trevion Williams and Zach Edey only play 20 minutes a game apiece because they can't play together. So it's not like they have, two second-round prospects on the floor together along with Jaden Ivey. So it's almost like they're a man down in a way. But Purdue plays well offensively. They struggle defensively. So if you're able to score on them and then Jaden Ivey isn't having a good game, you're going to be able to beat them. I don't like Yale. I don't think Yale's that talented. The Ivy League, I don't think it was that good this year. So I don't think this is going to be a close game. I think Purdue's going to win by double digits in this one. But a second-round matchup against Virginia Tech is what I want to see. I think that would be a really good matchup. Virginia Tech plays at a slower pace than Purdue. So if they're able to kind of slow the game down, establish pace, not let Purdue get out and run, then Virginia Tech I like in that second round against Purdue. But of course, Jaden Ivey could lead this team to a Final Four. So in my initial bracket, I had Purdue in the Final Four. I don't know what to do with Purdue. I think if Purdue makes it past Virginia Tech, I actually like Purdue against Kentucky or whoever they would face after that. I think the second round is going to be more challenging than the Sweet 16 for Purdue if they end up facing Virginia Tech. Otherwise, if it's not Virginia Tech, I like Purdue's path to the Final Four. You're looking at Texas, and then you're looking at Yale first round, Texas second round, Kentucky or Murray State or San Francisco in the third round. And I think Purdue has the size to kind of throw against Oscar Tshiebwe, and if Tshiebwe gets one of those guys in foul trouble, they have the second one. If Trevion Williams gets in foul trouble, Zach Edey's going to be able to be a guy that they can throw up against them. Zach Edey's 7'4", scores like 30 points per 40 minutes or something like that. Really efficient. Tshiebwe's like 6'9", so Tshiebwe's a beast on the interior, but he's going up 7 inches in that matchup. So Purdue, Kentucky, Sweet 16 would be interesting to watch for that reason. But obviously, it starts and ends with Jaden Ivey for Purdue. Fun guy to watch and definitely the guy to scout. Murray State, San Francisco, a battle of some mid-majors. San Francisco's had a good year this year in the WCC, same conference as St. Mary's in Gonzaga. Jamari Bouyer's a guy to watch. He could end up being a second-round pick this year as a guard that can score the ball. Murray State, Tevin Brown, he played when John Morant was there. He shoots a ton of threes, man. He's a sniper. He shoots deep threes off the dribble. He gets shots up and he makes a lot of threes. So he's the guy to watch for Murray State. This is a toss-up for me. This is a really good game. This is going to be a fun game to watch simply because it's Murray State and San Francisco, two unheralded teams. And I think this one's going to be a pretty close game. The final first-round game that we have to talk about, Kentucky St. Peter's. I don't trust St. Peter's to really make much noise in this game. I watched St. Peter's. They won their conference championship, but didn't like the look of them. Doug Eddert shoots a lot of threes. They run a lot of stuff for him. But Kentucky's going to be able to establish their interior game. St. Peter's, I don't see having anyone to slow down Oscar Tshiebwe. Tshiebwe is a potential late first, early second round pick, so he's a guy to scout for Kentucky. Ty Washington is a potential lottery pick. I don't think the Blazers would take him, but he's a guy that, if you're Blazers fans and you have like the 10th pick, you're hoping Ty Washington gets taken 9th so that you have, maybe a Matherin still on the board instead. But Ty Washington's a guy to watch for Kentucky. Kentucky's a team that I don't really trust them, but they have a relatively simple path. I don't see San Francisco or Murray State being able to slow down Kentucky on the interior. And then in the Sweet 16. It could be an 11 seed Virginia Tech team, which is a team that's better than their seed and playing good basketball at the right time. But I mean, is them or Purdue? I think Kentucky has a pretty solid path to making a run. I don't know. I don't like their team heading into this tournament. I dropped a video, 6 high seeds that I don't trust. They were one of them. Definitely go watch that after this, and go watch the 13 potential first round upset pick video that I just dropped as well. I'd appreciate that. But yeah, Kentucky, I mean, I can see them making a Final Four run given their path in this region. Anyway, that wraps up our first round preview. My first round preview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this helps you kind of understand some of the teams going into the first round. Understanding teams and kind of knowing strengths and weaknesses of certain teams, some key guys, makes it more fun to watch March Madness. So I'm just hoping that other people enjoy this game. Roy, I talked about Arkansas at the start of this video, man. This stream's been going for 56 minutes. Thank you, AJ. Yeah, I want you guys to enjoy March Madness because I love March Madness. I love college basketball. So being able to talk about that with you guys would be a lot of fun compared to talking about the Portland Trail Blazers being Tank City this year and being an absolute mess. You know, there's really not much to talk about in regards to the Portland Trail Blazers right now. It's not too fun to talk about them. So, you know, pivoting to some March Madness content, talking about draft because I love that sort of stuff, and I hope you guys do too, because this stuff is fun for me. Anyway, that wraps up this stream. Go check out the videos that I've dropped on the main channel. We'll be dropping 1 or 2 more in the next day or so, so be on to, stay tuned for that. Hopefully you enjoy them. And with that, that's a wrap for this stream. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.